Hello again, welcome to another review. For this video we are looking at Imaginarium Art's latest Transformer line piece, which is Starscream. This is the second piece released in IA's Transformer line, with Soundwave being the first, which I've previously reviewed with the link in the video description. While the big throne piece released at the moment is Sideshow's Thanos on Throne, this is the throne piece that I have been eagerly awaiting. There is no unboxing video for this statue due to its size and complexity of construction. The statue came in one shipper box, which contained 3 boxes inside. 2 of these boxes are art boxes, with the third box that held the base being just a plain beige box. This brings us to the first point. If you're thinking of getting this piece, which is now sold out, it costs a lot to ship. The shipping box that contains the 3 boxes together is massive, 104 by 60 by 56 centimeters, weighing in at 40 kilograms. This cost $702 in shipping fees, living in Australia from Singapore/China where it's made. I would have thought that shipping smaller, lighter boxes separately would have been cheaper, but it must not have been for IA to have boxed them up like they have, creating a oversized package for the couriers, and hence the large freight charge. In saying that, I cannot fault the packaging. My box did have a little damage on top, which has gone through to the art box, but everything inside was perfect with no breakages or damage. It's some of the best packaging I've seen, with high quality, densely layered foam, with each piece individually wrapped in tissue paper, then plastic, and each spot covered with cut out foam on top, with each section cut out perfectly for the piece that it's protecting. In that cutout, then there's the cutout piece of foam over the top, and then a big sheet of thick foam over the top of the whole the whole piece of each box. Let's move on to the piece itself. So to set the scene, some people may be asking, why is Starscream on a throne? Let me set the scene for you. In the 1986 Transformer movie, Megatron has been discarded after heavy damage in battle with Optimus Prime. The Decepticons have retreated and must appoint a new leader of the Decepticons. This is the ceremony of that appointment back on Cybertron. This is a direct scene from that movie. As you'll see in the video, the base is a high gloss with no battle damage, but Starscream has battle damage. This is because in that scene in the movie, Starscream has just returned from battle, but the battle wasn't on Cybertron, it was on Earth. The ceremony is taking place on Cybertron, which would be all shiny and not battle damage. So they've done well in creating that differentiation between the 2 areas, which matches the how the ground and the throne was in the movie. Okay, for this piece I've been lucky enough to receive number 3 of the 400 edition size, so really happy about that, getting such a low number in the line. So the piece has a huge presence, even more than Soundwave does, which has massive presence on its own. It's a massively thick piece, not quite as tall as Soundwave, but it's got girth and depth and just overall thickness of the statue. You're looking at a piece which is around 50 centimeters in diameter and 80 centimeters tall. The base is very heavy, but it's not solid. It is hollowed out, which is great, as it would weigh even more if it wasn't. The 14 missiles that form his throne are all heavy, Some are hollowed but still feel like a very thick cast, but most feel completely solid. For the base and Starscream himself, the sculpt and paint is amazing. He feels like he's pretty much all of his pieces are solid. And as I mentioned, the sculpt and paint is fantastic, which is at an extremely high standard given the incredible amount of detail that is on this piece. There's a few lines out of place, mainly around the metal edges around the plane's cabin window, but it's fairly minor, and this thing is just an overall beast. All the base pieces fit together with keys and magnets, and are quite snug and solid fits. All the pieces' keys are in different shapes, so you can't mix and match the pieces. They only have one place they can fit, which makes assembly a little bit easier. Only issue is some of the keys on Starscream himself allow for a little give, which is needed to assemble, as it's quite a difficult piece to assemble. But it would be nicer if the pieces, especially on his arms, were a little stronger. This, given the weight of Starscream himself and his arms and a lot of the pieces, they can feel a little loose and don't give you full confidence, or as much confidence as you would like. The head itself contains a light up feature with two small watch batteries that are a touch sensitive on or off, which is much improved over Soundwave's light up feature, which you used to have to disassemble to then turn on the switches and then reassemble it to have all the lights on. This you can initiate the lighting without any problem whatsoever. This makes it much more usable, and usually I don't use lighting because of how awkward they do it, but this is using two small watch-like batteries, which are in the head, and it's just the touch on the back of the crown gem. Really easy to initiate, so I'll definitely be utilising this light up feature. The piece altogether is super heavy. It weighs around the 35 kilogram mark. I can't get 100% weight due to its size. I can't fit it on a scale and still read the scale that I own. But the packaging would be absolutely most at 5 kilograms. Like, it's foam and cardboard, doesn't weigh that much. So given the shipping weight was 40 kilograms, I'm allowing 5 kilograms for that shipping, which I think is probably more than generous for that. So this is at least 35 kilograms in my opinion. Due to its size and weight, this is not the easiest statue to put together, and it's a little fiddly getting Starscream and his parts in place, and need a lot of care not to rub as you're trying to get the pieces in. But like with Soundwave, they include a high quality instruction booklet, which helps you with that assembly process. But unlike Soundwave, there's no artwork poster inside, which is a little odd. As if they do it for one piece in the line, you would like to think it's done for all, for consistency within the collection. But Soundwave may be the only piece that has this artwork. I'm not sure. We'll have to wait and see if there's no artwork with this piece, just because it's such a girthy throne piece and you wouldn't see it if it was behind it anyway. Not sure why that's the case. Okay. So, in closing, despite a few small issues, as no statue is ever perfect, for me this is even a better piece than Soundwave, which is coming from a already super high standard. There are some points that IA do need to consider with this line going forward, which I'll explain in more detail. These pieces are huge and heavy. Most collectors will not be able to display them, or that many of them. They might be able to get one or two of them, and then that's all they can do with that line. for IA, this means that the line will get less and less popular as time goes on, as people just won't be able to display them. For example, if you got two pieces here, so you got 20 kilograms and 35 kilograms per statue. I mean, you're asking, if you're putting 2 or 3 statues on a shelf, you're asking for the shelf to hold the weight of a human, of an adult, which is unlikely when you've got to give it a depth of 50 centimeters. They've got to consider that in the upcoming pieces coming forward. IA need to look at how they can make them lighter and potentially reduce the size of the bases. A thrown piece like this, it's unavoidable, but some of the other characters going forward, they need to look at smaller bases so collectors have more chance at displaying the full line of collection and making the piece itself more displayable. You can get away with a couple of pieces in a collection that are hard to display, but sort of beyond that, people are going to struggle in general, and that's going to make it difficult for people to collect the full line if they continue along this path. It would also make shipping costs a little more palatable for people, as the shipping cost mentioned before is going to be unreasonable for a lot of collectors. But despite those points, this is the best piece in my collection, hands down, and definitely glad that it's in my collection. But if the pieces stay this size, I for one will have to carefully consider each piece in the collection very closely going forward. And I'm a huge Transformers fan. It's my main line of collection, so if that's a consideration I have to consider, then for somebody that's not quite as big a Transformer fan, that's going to be even more of a turn off. So this is something that IA does need to look at with the line, because most people are never going to be able to get to your Jazzes and your Galvatrons and your Megatrons that are coming and so forth, because they're just never going to have the space to display those pieces. Thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoy the video, throw us a like and a sub if you want to. Thanks.